edition of In the Know, we are talking all about July records that have been broken between excessive rain and extreme heat. What region has broken which record? We're going to tell you in just a moment. Here's a scene out of Quebec just recently. Earlier this week, plenty of rain seen there. Some thunderstorm warnings even popping up just yesterday on Friday, going to foreshadow perhaps who broke the record for the rain so far. We'll tell you about that in a second. Meanwhile, on the east, we've seen quite the heat, not just for southern Ontario, but for Atlantic Canada as well. So much heat that these dogs need to cool down in the pool there. I need to take a dip in the pool as well with the humidity that we've been experiencing across southern Ontario. And meanwhile, on the west and across the country, in fact, we've been talking a lot so far this year about wildfires. Wildfires bringing in hazy skies across the prairies in southern Ontario, and also some drought conditions, which of course helps to fuel some of those flames. We're going to talk about who's breaking records and where, and to help dive into some of these statistics is Amndeep, our meteorologist, with us. Amin, we saw that scene out of Quebec with all the rain that fell. I mentioned the foreshadow. They broke a record, but it's interesting to note that last year's record was all set due to Hurricane Beryl remnants. This year we broke that, right?
Yeah, quite impressive at our new record that we broke on July 13th. We got upwards to 81.6 millimeters of rain, and this was not any remnants of any tropical storm. This was all thanks to training thunderstorms. So the area across Montreal saw repeated a pattern of training thunderstorms that led to heavy rainfall and flooding. And it was not only rainfall that we broke records across July, but even Newfoundland. Take a look at the all-time heat records so far across Badger and Burgeo. We got a persistent southerly flow that brought in very humid air, and even areas across St. John's, we got upwards to 30.7 degrees on July 14th. That broke a 12-year record. So overall, the humidity has been quite high across Newfoundland so far for the month of July, and it does look like as we end off the month that we're going to be looking at some persistent humidity being tapped into the Gulf from the Gulf moisture. That will be bringing that return of humidity across the east once again, as well as an active storm track. So when we have a gradient here from the trough to the ridge, that's setting us up for some thunderstorm potential across areas of the east. But areas across the west, it does look like we haven't gotten much rain so far compared to last year.
Yes, the rain, the lack of rain, I should say, across the west, really not helping the active fight for those wildfires. 61 uncontrolled fires as of now across the country. In 2025, in fact, over 3,000 wildfires reported so far, and we still have more of a wildfire season left to go. Amndeep, the question is when are they going to expect some more rain to help relieve those fires on the west?
Well, when we compare how much rain that we've gotten so far this year, it doesn't really compete to what we've gotten last year. We're looking at a lack of rainfall, which kind of kicked off the early wildfire season. And as we end off the month of July, it does look like we're going to see the return of a heat dome. So what this means is persistent warmth across the southern prairie provinces, which isn't good news. And this means that we will be looking at an active storm track that will be kicked off across the prairie provinces as well. So when we take a look at the temperature anomaly next week, look at the reds on the screen. You can really see that heat returning across the southern prairie provinces, even southwestern Ontario as well, which isn't going to be good news in terms of the agriculture and the drought conditions so far this year. So when we take a look at the likelihood of 30 degrees, take a look in the purple. It does look like it's pretty certain that heat will really dominate across areas of the south as we end off the month.